welcome to another episode of Value Vinyl with Mark. I am your host, Mark Lindsay. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful weekend. I have some more vinyl to share with you today. Going to try and do a little rapid fire because I did a lot. We went to the Rock Shop, as I mentioned in my last video. We had gone to King of Prussia. I had given Plymouth Meeting a shot on Friday night with my wife, Christine. And we also hit Matones, I hope I'm saying that right, in Collegeville, a good old-fashioned record store. It was a phenomenal experience. Didn't get to spend a lot of time in the store, but I will be going back for more. So again, just a quick rundown. These are all $10 or less. Value Vinyl with Mark. We're going to get it started right away. First up was from the Rock Shop, Animotion and their debut album. Of course, the song that everybody knows from this album would be the first one, Obsession. For those of you who are pro wrestling fans, that was the original theme song to the World Wrestling Federation's Saturday Night's Main Event back in the mid-'80s. But Obsession here, album's in fantastic condition, covers in great shape, original inner sleeves and everything, $10 at the Rock Shop. We found some treasures in the bargain bins. How about Michael Bolton and Timeless? Now, what's great about this album is that this isn't a U.S. record. This is actually a European version because it came out in 1992. So obviously here in the States, CDs were like the main source or form, I guess, of media in that time. But here's an album and a vinyl of Michael Bolton and Timeless where he does an entire album full of covers. Just to name a few of the bigger ones. Yesterday by the Beatles, Since I Fell For You, Hold On I'm Coming by Sam and Dave, Bring It On Home, Knock on Wood, Drift Away, and of course White Christmas. So a great album from Michael. I'm a big Michael Bolton guy. I know that it sounds kind of crazy, but I just think he has a rock and roll voice, and the fact that he does ballads and stuff like that is just phenomenal. I like Michael Bolton. I'm a big Michael Bolton fan. 1988 came calling, and I answered The Escape Club, Wild Wild West. The two big songs on this album would be Shake for the Chic and, of course, Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West was their top hit, but Shake for the Chic was a good song on here as well. This album brings me back to my time in the Boy Scouts. We did a ski trip at Blue Mountain, and they would play The Escape Club quite frequently on the speakers, on the ski lifts. So Escape Club in that time frame has a special place for me. Speaking of special place, for $4 at the Rock Shop, 1987's Tiffany. Now, I had this cassette when I was in, I think, fourth or fifth grade, 1987. I had the cassette. My sister Monica had the Debbie Gibson, and I had Tiffany, so go figure. But Tiffany and her debut album, Should Have Been Me, Feelings of Forever, I Saw Him Standing There, and I Think We're Alone Now. Where the big songs could have been was the ballad, but a great album, $4 at the Rock Shop. A $3 album made its way from the Rock Shop, Lisa Lisa and Cult Jam Spanish Fly. The two big songs on this album were Head to Toe and Lost in Emotion. So this came out, I think, in 87. So Spanish Fly, Lisa Lisa, Cult Jam, and again, the bargain bins at the Rock Shop are buy two, get one. So, $4, $3, $5, I think was the most I spent on these. They were buy two, get one free. I think I walked out spending $50, something like that. Here's Men at Work and their second big album, Cargo. The two big songs on this album were Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Jive and It's a Mistake. They were the two big songs on this album here. This was $4 at the Rock Shop. I'm probably going to say this band's name wrong. Where's Richard Blade when you need him? Bluesome, I think is Bluesome. This was a new wave band in the early 80s. Their two big hits are on this album, which are Some People and Imagination. Imagination is a song that's often played on Saturday Night Dance Party, the Safety Dance, on Channel 33, Sirius XM First Wave. But Imagination and Some People are the two big hits on this album. $3, and it was the one of those stamps up in the corner there, the promotional ones. Good stuff. Speaking of new wave, Hojo, Howard Jones, and the 12-inch, watch your mouth, album. This was a French album. Again, watch your mouth, Dirty Minds. The 12-inch album, this has some of his better hits from his debut album, which I think I shared on here a couple videos back. This had new song, What Is Love, the extended mix, Like to Get to Know You Well, and it took two totally new songs debuting here, Total Conditioning and Always Asking Questions. So the 12-inch album from Howard Johnson, this was $3 at the Rock Shop. Now we're going to hit into the albums I purchased at Matones. I spent, I think, $50 or so there. There was one that didn't make the cut. It was a little bit more than $10, but I'm going to share it anyway. It was Taylor Dayne and her 1988 album. I forget what it was called, but that's upstairs because it wasn't $10. But Taylor Dayne, I got Taylor Dayne, had a funny conversation with the, I don't know if it's the owner or the manager, where I put back Stray Cats and another album, and I got Taylor Dayne instead. And I said, you know, I know that Stray Cats is a better band, but you can't pass up Taylor Dayne. So got Taylor Dayne. In the bargain bin, they have some great bargain bins as well, $5 and less. This was $4.99, The Pretenders and Learning to Crawl. A great album from The Pretenders here. Middle of the Road, Back on the Chain Gang, Time the Avenger, Thumbelina, My City Was Gone, and I Hurt You are the songs, the better songs on the album. But just a great album. The Pretenders, huge, popular band in the 80s. And I saw them in concert. They opened up for Neil Young one year. My dad and I went to see them. Great live. It's just a great band. $2.99 for Elton John's Greatest Hits. What I really liked about this music store, this record store, was that if they had the original inserts, which all of these had, by the way, they also put the record in a static protector, which I just thought was class all the way. Again, I will definitely be going back. A great record store in Collegeville, PA. But Elton John and his greatest hits, I mean, every song, just take a look at that track listing. I mean, every song in here is phenomenal. Of course, this was in 1974, so his greatest hits up until 1974. He had a couple dud albums in the late 70s and early 80s, but he made a strong comeback in the mid-80s. How about Scritti Politti and Cupid and Psych 85? Their two, I guess, best-known songs are on this album, which would be Perfect Way and Would Be's, or Pray Like Aretha Franklin. They're the two big songs from the band, and they're on this album here. I think this came out in 1985. So obviously 85 was there, but you know, whatever. That was $2.99. $5.99 for Eric Clapton and Behind the Sun. This has two of my favorite Eric Clapton songs of all time, and that's saying something because Eric Clapton has a great library of songs. But two of my favorites, I'd say they were my top 10, would be She's Waiting and Forever Man. So first song on side A, first song on side B, She's Waiting and Forever Man. Just great 80s, you know. The guitar was always great with Clapton, of course. I mean, he's a great guitar player. But the 80s guitar, there was just a different sound in the 80s that obviously, I'm going to sound old, and I don't like to sound like the old guy. But I think if you were to tell me a song that came out in 2010, and I never heard it before, and you asked me what year it came out, I think you could actually make the argument that it sounds similar to today's music. And especially for music 5 years ago, because, you know, Chainsmokers and bands like that, it just sounds like today's sound. Like you can't tell the difference between a song that came out yesterday and a song that came out 5, 6, 7 years ago. They just sound too similar. But you can definitely tell 80s guitar. It just has a distinct sound. And obviously there are people out there, I mean, 70s guitar, 60s guitar, the 60s organs like the Doors would have, just a very distinct sound. And Eric Clapton in the 80s had a very distinct sound. Stevie Nicks and Belladonna. This was a $4.99 album. Of course, the big songs on here, Belladonna, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, of course, a duet with Tom Petty. Edge of 17, Leather and Lace, a duet with Don Henley. So just a great album. I think this was her, I don't think it was her debut album. I think this may have been her second solo album. I'm not, don't quote me on that. I didn't do research. I'm trying to make this short and sweet. $1.99 at Matones for Meet the Beatles. Okay, there were no insert, but of course they gave an insert in here, the static free insert. Of course, I Want to Hold Your Hand. I saw her standing there, which we saw earlier, the cover from Tiffany. All My Loving, Hold Me Tight, I Want to Be Your Man, Not a Second Time. So second side isn't as strong as side one, but again, Meet the Beatles, and just a great album, great condition for the record and the outer sleeve. The Beatles, we state, why leave? This was $2.99. Was the Beatles and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So again, I mean, a little bit of a beat up outer cover. This is the stereo version, not the mono. The monos are the collectibles. But again, for $2, $2.99, I'll buy the Beatles, Zeppelin, whoever, every single time at a discounted price. I don't judge. We're going to end today's video with a purchase I made at the Brownsville Antique Shop. And that is Joe Cocker and With a Little Help from My Friends. Of course, the big songs on here were Feeling Alright and With a Little Help from My Friends, the cover of the Beatles song. Interesting to note that, when you open up the inner sleeve here, that I didn't know this until just when I got this, is that Jimmy Page played guitar for many of the songs on the album, which I thought was pretty cool. That is going to wrap it up for this episode of Value Vinyl with Mark, but let's listen to the advice from our good friend Michael Conrad.
That's it, let's roll. Hey,
let's be careful out there.
That's right. Let's be careful out there. Thanks again for watching Value Vinyl with Mark, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.